Hello, Lincoln High School. So we are going to take our first dive into Photoshop today. So this is your first Photoshop tutorial, and we're going to do our first practice assignment. So first off, we need to open up Photoshop. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the Start menu down here on the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. And you can look through for Adobe Photoshop. I find it's easier just to start typing in on my keyboard, Photoshop, and Adobe Photoshop will pop right up here at the top. I will click on that and it will open up. Now most of you have not logged in yet, so first thing you're going to get is a screen that asks you to sign in. You're going to go ahead and what you need to click on is right here in the middle of the screen. It says sign in with Enterprise ID. So again, don't sign in up here with your email and password. You try that, it's probably going to start a demo and it's not going to work. So we want to go right here, sign in with Enterprise ID. Now on the first line, all you need to type in is @wpusd.org, and then I'll click on the password, and don't do anything else. It just automatically starts redirecting you. And it should take you to a Google sign-in. Now, I'm already signed into Google, so it didn't take me to my Google sign-in, but for you, you're going to go to your Google sign-in. You'll sign in with your student or with your login, just like you log into the computers, except for it's your full email account. So it'll be your graduation year, your last name, your first initial, middle initial, and then you're going to put @wpusd.org. And then you'll put in your password like normal. Right? Usually your student ID number is your password. All right? And then it'll open up into Photoshop. Now it'll probably look something like this or something like this. First thing we need to do is create a blank canvas. So we're going to go over here and we're going to click on Create New. If you don't see this screen, just go up to File and go down to New. All right? So either way, we're going to go ahead and create a new document. So you click Create New. All right. Now I want to go ahead and create a full-size piece of paper. Right now, this is set to clipboard, I don't know, something weird. And it's set to pixels. So the first thing we want to do is over here on the right-hand side, we can customize how our page is going to look. So we're going to change this from pixels to inches because we want to go ahead and work in inches. And a regular piece of paper is 8.5 inches by 11 inches. All right? And once we do that, it automatically does a portrait-sized piece of paper. If we wanted it to be landscape, we could click on landscape and it would just flip-flop those numbers for us. But we're going to stick with portrait. And then down here it says resolution. On the resolution, we're going to change that to 300 pixels per inch because we want a pretty high quality image. All right, and we're going to leave the color mode set to RGB color. So if yours isn't set to RGB color, make sure it's set to that. If you accidentally set it to grayscale or something like that, you're going to find you're going to have some problems, i.e. your picture is going to be in black and white. So make sure it's set to RGB color and make sure it's set to 8-bit, otherwise that'll also cause issues. All right, and then background. For now, we're just going to keep the background white. And we're going to go ahead and click Create. All right, so this gives us a blank document here. This is our canvas is what we call it. This is our document here in the middle. Again, in Photoshop, we call it a canvas. And on the left-hand side, you'll see these are all our different Photoshop tools. So this is our toolbox, everything we need in order to create stuff in Photoshop. Down here is our color swatches. This is where you change the color of your tools. Along the top is settings for whatever tool I am clicked on at the moment. And on the right-hand side over here, this is our layer window. So this is where our layers are located. So that's going to be important later on as we work with layers. And along the top is our menu options. So first thing we need to do for this assignment, or for this little tutorial, is we're going to go ahead and get a picture in here to work with. You may need to download a picture from Google, but I already got one ready to go, so I'm going to go ahead and put it in here. So first off, we go up to File, up here at the top, File, and we go down to, there's two options. So if you did File, Open, that's just going to open up your picture by itself in its own canvas, and it's going to take up the entire canvas. That's not what we want to do for this project. Instead, we want to go down, so don't get confused by the File Open. You want to go down to the one that says File, place embedded. So place embedded is what we're looking for. So we're going to go ahead and place embedded. And then we're going to go locate our photo. So for you, you might have it in your downloads because you just downloaded it from the internet. But I got it over here in my photos or pictures file folder. So here is a picture of Lydia. So I'm going to go ahead and place it, my daughter here. All right, you'll notice the first thing, it kind of puts it full screen because it's a big picture. And you can see I have these boxes here, which I can use to click and resize my image. Now, this great thing with Creative Cloud 2019, when I resize my image, it automatically keeps the aspect ratio so nothing gets distorted, which is great because it used to be, back in older versions of Adobe, when I clicked and dragged, see, I can kind of distort my image and do crazy stuff with it. We don't want that anymore, all right? So now you no longer have to hold down the Shift key. It just automatically does it. In fact, you have to hold down the Shift key if you want to distort it. So it's kind of nice. Now it no longer gets distorted by default. So we'll go ahead and resize our image, decide where we want to drop it. And once we're happy with where it's at, we can click the check box right here, or the Enter key on our keyboard, and go ahead and confirm that that's how we want it. Now, let's say we didn't like where it was at. We can go ahead and move it around. So if we go over on the right-hand side or left-hand side, the top tool, the first tool that we're going to learn today is the Move tool. So if we click on the Move tool, it'll allow us to click on the picture and move it around. Again, it's because I have this layer selected. If I had the background layer selected, it wouldn't do anything. So I want to make sure I have my picture selected over here in our layer window here. And that lets me move the picture around. Now, if I wanted to resize the picture, you notice I lost my boxes here. So I can do one of two things. First thing is you can right up here click on Show Transformation Controls if you're in the Move tool. Or you can go up to Edit, I believe, and go down to Free Transform. That'll pull up the tool too. But here we are. I went ahead and clicked on the Show Transformation Controls, and that'll let me go ahead and once again resize it. And if I'm happy with it, once again, I can hit the checkbox. All right. Now we're going to go to it again. Again, we're in Transformation Controls. And there's another cool thing you can do with this. I'm going to click on a corner, so I'm starting to change the size and position of it. That puts me into the Free Transformation tool. Now there's a couple of things I can do. Once I've clicked on a corner, I can kind of move my cursor out away from my picture, and you'll notice it turns into this double arrow thing that's at about a 90 degrees, right? So with that means I can take and rotate my picture left and right. All right, kind of cool. So you can rotate your picture however you'd like it. There's another thing you can do up here too once you're in this free transformation mode. Right here at the top, this thing that looks like kind of like a windshield wiper or something like that. It is called the Warp tool. So if I click on that, that puts me into warp mode. And now I can click, and when I drag, it kind of warps my picture around in weird, funky ways. So that's kind of fun. If you wanted to create some sort of weird warp for your picture. Again, I don't know why you would, but if you wanted to. Right? And you can even really distort it a lot, but we're not going for super distorted here. So if I want to go back to normal, I'm just going to go ahead and click the Cancel Transformation tool here. Get it back to normal. I might go back into the transformation mode and still rotate it. We'll leave it slightly rotated just for fun. Go ahead and enter and place my image where I like it. All right, so next we're going to go ahead and let's get some text in here. So to put in some text, I'm going to go down to the Text tool. So on the left-hand side, it's a big T. That is the Text tool. So go ahead and click on the Text tool. And I can go ahead and click in here and start typing. Ooh, massively big text. So we're going to, I don't know why it did that. I'm going to go ahead and delete that layer. So I can go up here and I can change the size. So along the top, here are all my options for the text, right? I have left justified, center text, right justified. Here's the text color. I'm going to go ahead and pick black, let's say, for now. And right here is the text size, so I can hit this down arrow and choose a smaller size. Or I can also just click on the T and hold down my left click button and scroll left to right to increase and decrease the size of the text. And right here I can choose a new font. I'm just going to stick with this font because it's good. And I'm going to go ahead and start typing in what I want to. So Lydia, that is my daughter. All right. And again, if I wanted to increase the font size, I can go ahead and highlight it all. I can go ahead and drag up the font size up here. It looks pretty good. Then I'm going to go ahead and use the move tool and move it down over here. Now, if I want to get back in there and edit it again, once I switch to the move tool, you'll notice I can no longer type in there. Oops. I just messed up my workspace, so I'm going to go ahead and reset it. So if you ever get something where it kind of screws up the way it looks, we're going to go up to Window, Workplace, and we're going to go ahead and click Reset Essentials. And that almost worked. All right. So let me do that again. Somewhere I closed something by mistake. All right. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, and so I got my thing. If I want to go ahead and change the text on this, I can double click, and now I can get back into the text tool. Now let's say I wanted to change the color of the text again. I'm going to go ahead and highlight it. And I'm going to go up here and click on the text color. As you saw before, we have this color picker. You can go ahead and pick from a whole spectrum of colors manually. Or what's really cool is if you go off of this screen and onto your picture, you'll notice you have a little eyedropper that pops up. And you can actually pick a color in the scene and use that as your color. So I'll go ahead and grab this purple here from her shirt and use that as my text colors. Hit OK. And now that I'm happy with it, I can go ahead and click off of the text layer, click onto the background layer. It looks pretty good. All right. So we're liking this, but I want to go ahead and add a shape. So I'm going to go over here on the right-hand side, left-hand side, I mean, and click on the rectangle tool. This is the shape tool. There's actually some other, if I click and hold down, you can see there's a bunch of other shapes you can do. We're just going to stick with the rectangle tool for right now. And I'm going to go ahead and put in the rectangle here. It's going to put in a black rectangle, but all right. So we'll go ahead and put in this rectangle. All right, so first thing we can do is up here at the top, we can change the color. So maybe I want it to be blue or gray or something like that. All right, and then now you noticed I was clicked on the text layer when I did this. So now my square is covering everything on the page. So what do I need to do to get everything, to get it to the bottom? Well, we need to go over here to our layers panel and take our rectangle, which is the top layer, so it is the thing that's on top of everything else, and click and drag it down so it shows up underneath everything else. And now I'm going to go ahead and use my resize tools and kind of get this the way that I like it. All right, so you can use it as just partial, as just kind of a border for your picture, or you can use it, you can take it and use it to fill up the whole screen if you want to change the background so that you have a gray background rather than a white background. So that's another option. So I could just go ahead and click it up here, make sure it fills up the whole screen. Right? And enter, and now I got this kind of brown background. All right, of course this Lydia is not really popping, so maybe I'll add another text box down here. I'll make sure it's under my text. And go ahead and use my color choices here and maybe pick out this kind of light blue color from her pants. All right. And go ahead and close that. And I'll go over here to my move tool and resize it. Again, if you're not seeing the boxes on the corner, you got to go up here and click on Show Transformation Controls, right? So if you don't see those transformation controls, just click right here on this box, and that'll show the transformation controls. All right, so cool. We got Lydia. We got this background. We got a picture on there. Let's see what else we need to do. Oh, I know what happened. I hit full screen. Okay, so I figured out what I did wrong. I hit the F button when I was in here, and that put me into full screen mode. So hit the F button a couple more times, and I'm out of full screen mode and back to the way I want it to be. Another thing, which I didn't go over yet, if you notice now this picture's kind of overtaking it, so I got to kind of scroll up and down to see my whole picture. So if I want to zoom in or out, the shortcut to do that is you can just hit Control plus or Control minus. So hold down the Control key and hit the minus key, or hold down the Control key and hit the plus key. You can also hold down the Control key, or take that back, the Alt key. If you hold down the Alt key, you can scroll up with your mouse and scroll down with your mouse and also zoom in and out that way. You can also go up to View, and there is zoom in and zoom out. All right, so lots of different ways to do that. Well, let's go back and check our assignment here and see what we're supposed to do next. So we got an image in there. We rotated it. I showed you how to warp it. We put in some text, and we picked a color from our image. We put in a background using a shape. All right. Now we're going to apply some layer styles. All right. So this is some layer styles. So with the picture here, if I click on my picture, I can go up to Layer. Now I can go down to Layer Style. And we can put in some new layer styles. All right. So there's Bevel, Emboss, Stroke. So let's just try one here and see what it looks like. All right, there's another shortcut to get to this too. You can also just double click on your layer over here. So if you double click on your layer over here, whoops, not on the name, but in the box, it'll also pull up your layer styles. So we're gonna move this over to the side so you can see what's going on here as we do this. So we're gonna start with Bevel and Emboss. So I went ahead and select Bevel and Emboss, and it's gonna put a little bevel on the image. And I'm gonna increase it so you can see what's going on. Yeah. Right, so you can kind of see it makes it look a little 3D. Not my favorite, so I'm going to turn that off. I can do stroke. If I do stroke, that like puts a line around the outside of the image. Right? I kind of like that. I might leave that. Maybe just do a little less. Slight stroke. All right, and again, you'd change the color of that, so there's lots of settings with that one. You have inner shadow and inner glow. And you can do some overlays, right? Overlays aren't, you'd have to really mess with them. They're pretty weird. Another one that we really like to do though is drop shadow. Drop shadow works pretty well. So if we go down to drop shadow and we increase maybe the distance and the size a little bit, you can see it's kind of put in this shadow. Maybe even increase the spread a little bit. You should start to notice right here, right? There's a shadow kind of going around the picture. So we'll put that drop shadow in there. All right. So again, you can mess around with those, see what you like, try to make it look good. Hit OK. I'm actually going to click on my text, and I'm going to add some of those layer styles too there. So we could do outer glow. Where's my outer glow? There's my outer glow on the text if I wanted to. Right. Ooh, kind of a interesting effect. And I could change the color. Let's say I wanted kind of a red or a black. Well, I think brighter colors work better. Right? Or we could add a drop shadow. It's getting really crazy now. But we could add a drop shadow. Similar effect. Change the distance, change the spread, size, kind of mess around with it. Change the angle of the drop shadow. Reduce the distance there a little bit. Increase the spread. All right, and size. Okay. So there we go. Now I got my image. Looks pretty good, right? Now if I want to go ahead and save this, I go up to File, and we'll just go ahead and save. First thing we want to do is go ahead and save a Photoshop file. So right here it says Save Photoshop Type, Photoshop File. I'd recommend you probably go ahead and create for yourself a new folder. So I'm going to go into my Documents. I'm going to go ahead and create a new folder and call it. So to create a new folder, I just right-clicked and went down to New, a new folder. And we're going to go ahead and call it MediaCom. Right, and I'm going to go ahead and open that up. And this is our first assignment. So this is a Photoshop practice assignment. So practice. And it's the first one, so number 1. And go ahead and hit save. Now that saved a Photoshop file for me, so I can come back and make any changes to this if I want. But if you turn a Photoshop file into me in Schoology, I will not be able to see it. So what you need to do to turn it into me in Schoology is you need to go up to File, and you're going to go down to Save As again. But this time, instead of saving a Photoshop file, you're going to hit the down arrow, and you're going to choose JPEG, JPEG, right here. And make sure it's just the JPEG, not the JPEG 2000 or the JPEG stereo. We just want regular JPEG. All right. And we're going to go ahead and save it there. Photoshop Practice 1 again. Hit Save. You turn it into me, so you can do kind of a medium, like a 7 or an 8 quality. So we're going to leave it at 7 there. It's pretty big. Yeah, 7's fine. So we'll leave it at 7. Hit OK. And now that JPEG is what you want to turn into me. So when you go into your Documents and you look for your MediaCom folder, you want to make sure you don't turn in the one that says Adobe Photoshop file. You want to turn in the one that says JPEG. All right? And then like everything, to turn it in, you go to Schoology, click on Submit, and then click on the little icon under Upload that looks like a file. And then you got to locate the file and hit Open and hit click Submit. All right, thank you. Good luck.